Well, where do you want to start? Beto?
Beto is a standard issue Democrat, not a socialist, channeling Robert Kennedy. That's how he presents himself. I think he studied tapes of RFK.
Yeah.
Same mannerisms, same hair.
Yeah.
He's got a following. Will he distinguish himself? Maybe. He's got energy. Bernie is 112 years old. I mean, that's pretty tough.
I know.
So Beto's coming on in. He's going to make everybody happy, and social justice will return, and we'll take a look at reparations, and we'll let all the people in because we're a humane country. Standard issue.
Okay. Let me go to something I think that does make a difference. The GOP senators that say you can't do the emergency powers. It was Mike Lee, Chuck Grassley, Tom Tillis, Joni Ernst, Pat Toomey, Ron Johnson, Jerry Moran, Lamar Alexander, Ben Sass, Roy Blunt, Rob Portman, Todd Young, Mitt Romney, Ted Cruz, and Roger Wicker. How's this going to fly with Donald Trump, and what does this mean?
It doesn't mean much. I don't believe all those Republican senators will vote against the national emergency decree. I think 5 will vote against it. Then Trump will veto both the House and the Senate bills when they reconcile them, and he'll find the money to build some of the wall. I mean, there's no deviation. I mean, it's not like Trump is worried about this. He's having corned beef and cabbage with the Prime Minister of Ireland today. That's his whole day with Irish. They're going to be doing Irish step dancing. They're going to be...
Please don't make me lose faith in our government even more, please. Just.
But that's what Trump's schedule is.
Yeah.
His schedule is Irish stuff today. And he's not really worried about this because he hasn't vetoed anything, which is interesting, in 2 years. He'll veto this, and then they'll go on. Now, I understand the GOP's point of view because they fear there'll be a Democratic president next time around, and he'll do the same thing Trump is doing. National emergency every time you turn around. I got it.
Yes.
But I really think there is a national emergency on the southern border, and I'd like to see, some improvements take place down there.
So do I, and I don't know any other way to solve this mainly because of the weasels in Washington that said they cared about the border, mainly the GOP, but also the people that have told us, even through Obama and Bill Clinton, all those people who used to say that the border was a real problem. It is a real problem, and they just don't want to take care of it for some reason or another. And I think it's despicable. So I don't know what to do about it. I don't think the American people know what to do about it.
Well, Congress is not going to pass any kind of profound immigration laws because the Democratic Party understands they have grown in strength because of the mass immigration of Hispanics into the country. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if you look at the demographics in the early 1990s and compare them today, Hispanic voters have grown fourfold in the country, and most of them vote Democrat. So that's what's in play. But even when the Republicans had both houses of Congress, they didn't do anything. They're afraid, and they don't want to be branded a racist and all that business, so that's where we are.
Let's go to the Democrats. They said this week that they believe they're going to have to pack the court in 2020.
Yeah, that's dangerous, boy.
That's insane. I mean, FDR tried to do that, and it was one of the things that Americans stood up and pushed back hard on. I mean, I can't. Now
nobody even knows who FDR is.
Yeah.
So we're in a totally different ball game. Look, 1869, Congress decided there were going to be 9 Supreme Court justices, and it stood from 1869 to the present day. But Congress can change that. They can have 75 if they want. Now, it'll be a brawl. It'll be a fight. If the Democrats take the White House and the Senate, could happen. Absolutely could happen.
I mean, Bill, we have the people who are running now for the Democratic Party. They won't even admit that they're a capitalist.
Sure. I mean, because that's evil, Beck. It's evil to succeed. It's evil to have money.
But it's not. But it is not with the vast majority of Americans, both Republican and Democrat, is it?
Right. The polls show that only 25% of Americans really want to be socialists. Okay. But, I'm getting a little tired of the vast Americans this, the vast Americans that, because they don't do anything. They just say, yeah, we don't want it, but who's running wild in this country? Who's controlling the media in this country? Who's controlling the social media? Who? Progressive left. Who's fighting them? Nobody.
No, not true. Scared. No, wait. Not true. Don't say.
Who's fighting them back beside you and me? Who?
No. The audiences of our combined reach for most of America.
They're with us. Yes, but they're not organizing.
They don't know how
media
to.
Matters on the right.
They don't know how to, and you can't. And Bill,
wait a minute. How does the progressive left know how to?
The progressive left,
the conservative right, doesn't know how
to. The
to.
progressive left is willing to take their money and put it where their mouth is. Everyone I have ever met with that is a multi-millionaire or billionaire, they're all looking for a return on their investment. What do I get? What do I get? Here's what Media Matters said. Nothing except these policies being put into play. So you're doing something because we all believe in change. The right with the big money, they don't step up to the plate. George Soros can gather 25 billionaires, put them in a room. They'll fund for a decade some of these crazy radical operations. And it works because then you can actually put the structure in. That's the problem. The people will organize, but they will organize, and they did it with the Tea Party. They will come together. You cannot get anybody with power putting it together.
There isn't a effective counterpunch to the craziness on the progressive left, and there should be. But the problem is that the conservative leadership is afraid. It's afraid. I mean, let's take our alma mater, Fox News. They're scared to death of Media Matters. There's nobody fighting them. Okay, they are.
You're saying that they're not gonna fight with Tucker Carlson to keep him?
They may keep him, but they're certainly not fighting for him. I don't think they can not keep him after what they did to me. I mean, they've lost 1,200,000 viewers from 8 to 9 o'clock since I left. They're going to throw this guy overboard now? That'll be the end of that network. But my point is, they don't fight. Who's fighting? Trump fights the press. All right? And in my column just released on BillO'Reilly.com, Trump's winning that fight. He's one guy against 10,000, but he's so powerful because he's president that he's actually winning his fight against the press.
See, I think...
But Trump isn't organizing against the Soros people. Who's doing that?
Nobody, because you're exactly right. I think we may be saying the same thing. Because people with real influence and real power will not put their money where their mouth is, nor will they come together.
Look at the former Speaker of the House, Ryan. He did jack when he was in there. Nothing. No immigration, nothing. No fight back, no organization, nothing. Why? He's scared. He was scared. Look, even Nancy Pelosi is scared of those people, those progressive left people. Pelosi's petrified of those people. These are vicious verbal assassins. They can ruin you. And who's fighting against them?
Well, you know that they are powerful when the guy who was the guy on television, he's the head of Media Matters now, the guy who was on television saying, oh my gosh, look at what he said. Look at what Tucker Carlson said on Bubba the Love Sponge. At the same time, in between 2006 and 2011, and that same time, he was on his blog talking about trannies, talking about how Bangladeshi. He is an absolute
He's not
pig.
even worth discussing. And by the way, the Sponge had a very good column, op-ed in the Wall Street Journal today.
That's Mr. Sponge.
That's
Mr. Sponge to you.
But what I'm trying to say to you is that all of our policy in this country now, including packing the Supreme Court, the move to socialism, all of this is being driven by the social media. That's who's doing it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would be a game show host in Tulsa if she didn't have social media behind her. And she could say, like and 55 times on the game show. But
she is not
and people got to wise up.
Bill, she is not a self-created person. She's not.
No, she got millions of dollars. I told you that last week.
Yes.
Did you go over to the guy's house in Fort Worth, Beck, where I told you to do?
No, I don't show up at people's houses, but I appreciate that.
Call ahead. He'd be happy to.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he would.
Bring brownies.
So then, what's your advice then, Bill?
Well, I mean, there has to be PACs, political action committees, formed, and money donated to those PACs on the traditional conservative side, and they have got to have enough lawyers and enough communicators, whereas when these Media Matters people come out with the noose and when the Me Too's come out and everybody else trying to kill people like Brett Kavanaugh, that they provide a balance and an aggressive posture to at least counter it. Now, I know they're not going to get time on CNN and MSNBC. That's a big problem because Media Matters is a pipeline right into the mainstream media,
yes,
whereas the conservative traditional people won't, but they can get on your show and my show.
Yeah, I will tell you, Media Matters, the Washington Post actually contacted me yesterday and said, we know you have experience with Media Matters, and we're doing a story on Media Matters, and wanted to know if you had ever found anything that they had ever done credible. I didn't even respond, verbally. I just wrote a note. The fact that you could even ask this question with a straight face shows you the state of the Washington Post. Back with more Bill O'Reilly here in just a second. It's a Glenn Beck program filling in for Steve Bergier. Stu is the one and the only, the very lovely and talented Pat Gray.
Thank you. Yes. Good to be here.
Bill, welcome back to the program. Trump may label Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. What are the ramifications of that?
That's a good thing. So you got to have an arrangement with Mexico City, of course. And you got to say, look, we're going to designate these cartels as dangerous to the world, not just to you, Mexico City, and we, Washington, D.C. And if we find out where they live, we're going to drop a drone on them. If we see a caravan of heroin-laden vehicles, we're going to blow them up from the sky. That's what you can do on a designated terror watch. So the United States could send special forces. They'd have to get permission. But you can do all kinds of military action against designated terror groups.
You can, but do you believe, Bill, that the United States would ever do that?
I would. No, I think Trump would. You got to get the permission of the guy in Mexico City.
Yeah.
And you fear he would go along with it. Does he want these people to continue to corrupt his country to the extent they have? Does he want that?
I will tell.
Once you get the U.S. military targeting you for death, the equation changes. Does it not?
I will tell you that I wouldn't put it past some Texans to have already hired people to do things like that.
Yeah, but come on, Beck. Mm-hmm. Drone warfare. Obama used it, and we don't even know the extent that he used it. But they really put a hurt on these people from the sky.
Mm-hmm. And what happens? What happens when they have pictures of dead little children?
Yeah, in Mexico.
In Mexico, what?
You bet. I mean, that you have to be very surgical and you have to be very careful. I understand, but just the chill that would put in the cartel realm would be substantial, I think.
Yes. I wonder about the chill on the other side of now for again, drug cartels. It is a serious issue.
It's killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. That's the bottom line on it. Okay, so we lost 3,000 on 9/11, and then we wiped out thousands of Islamic fundamentalists. We losing 100,000 a year. We're not doing anything to these cartels. Does that make sense to anybody on this planet?
No.
Mexico's losing a lot of people too. They had something like they had double the murders that the United States had.
And they don't even report most of the murders.
Well, yeah, and that's with a third of the population of the United States. I mean, it's
50,000 murders last year alone, and I put the number at 60 to 70,000. You can't even go to Acapulco. All right, so Elvis had a movie, Fun in Acapulco. Elvis could not do a remake if he were still alive. You can't go there. It's controlled by cartels. Do you realize that 66 American citizens were kidnapped in Mexico last year, Beck? Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
66. All right, so these people have declared war on the United States, the cartels. We're going to send fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, every other drug, methamphetamine, right across your border. Your politicians are too cowardly to stop it. We know that. We're going to make billions of dollars and blank you. So Trump says, all right, well, we're going to designate you a terror group. Have fun with the drone in your backyard.
So when I was
what I would do.
When I was at CNN, I did a special on the number of Americans that had been kidnapped by drug cartels and brought across the border. All these young girls just taken, and nobody cared except the people in the community. I couldn't get CNN to move. When I went to Fox, they said, "Oh, they'd help. We'd get on that story." No, they never did. People are not willing to do the heavy lifting about our border. This is the Glenn Beck program. Joining us is Pat Gray, filling in for Stu today, who is off for a couple of days for some unknown reason. Maybe it was raining. I don't know. And Bill O'Reilly joins us.
So, Bill, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals just gave more protection to asylum seekers.
This happened yesterday.
So we only had 100,000 asylum seekers last year. And now, according to the Ninth Circuit Appeals Court, we can't send any of them right back. So they have to have a jury trial here before we can deport them. Is this going to the U.S. Supreme Court? Is this going to wind up where there's just a deluge that we can't do anything about?
Of course. It'll be 500,000 in the next 2 or 3 years, and it'll go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will rule that the government has a discretion on what asylum cases to hear. They will overturn the Ninth Circuit. But this is, another example of where the country is going if the progressive left gets power. All right? If they take both houses and the presidency, this is what you're going to see, a totally open border situation. Everybody knows the game, and the cartels are involved with the people smuggling. Everybody knows that as well. And the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals doesn't care. They don't care. They want open borders.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me how far away from the people things in Washington are. I mean, it's like they're a foreign entity now almost. The federal government is just becoming this foreign entity that is not reflective or representative of the people at all. Let me ask you this, Bill. Go ahead.
Wait. Let me comment on that. It's not just Washington. Look at the entire state of California. Look at Oregon, Washington State. I mean, these states are more radical than Washington is. So there's been a shift in the country, and it's so dangerous. I'm saying to myself, I don't know. I still think I agree with you that most Americans are with us. Common sense, America's noble, all policies should be geared to giving everybody an equal opportunity to pursue happiness. But to alter and dramatically change everything about America, that's insane. But that's what the progressive left wants.
Well, it's not only the progressive left. It is also the Islamists that are in charge of things like CARE, and we have two congresswomen now going to do fundraisers this weekend for CARE. This is a sister organization for Hamas. It was created by the Muslim Brotherhood through the Palestinian Council to be a propaganda device to change people. And I'll tell you, the real power in Washington that everybody's afraid of is CARE. I mean, Jeanine Pirro said, do you have her exact quote, Pat?
Not in front of me.
Okay, well, she basically said...
No, I know what it is. You want to know what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
He was questioning if a Muslim woman wears a hijab, whether that indicates she doesn't have allegiance to the Constitution, but she does have it to Sharia law. She asked a question, provocative question, no doubt. And then she was condemned by her own news network.
Yeah, were you surprised that Fox basically condemned what she said?
Yes, I was. You can do that in another way. So if the network decides it believes that Judge Pirro went over the editorial line and was purposely offensive to Muslim Americans, then you put her on the next day and have her debate the issue with a designated Fox person.
Right.
And say, okay, what did you mean? Do you understand that your remarks could be hurtful to certain people who are in the minority and may be fearful? And that's how you do it. You don't hang them in the court of public opinion.
That is the fear of... Is that an agreement with what CARE is saying, or is that the fear of CARE on the part of Fox?
Look, I'm not jazzed up about Islamic intrusion into the American culture. I just don't see it as a major problem because of the numbers. The numbers are infinitesimal. Aren't very many Muslims here. And the ones that are here don't cause trouble. CARE is a bad organization. All right? It is. We all know that. It sympathizes with killers. But there are a lot of bad organizations. This isn't a priority of mine.
Wow.
However, if you are going to raise a point about Sharia law, because if you go by Sharia law, you cannot then accept the American Constitution.
You can't.
You can't. Sharia law is dramatically opposite. So if you have a congresswoman wearing a hijab, you can ask her, which is more important to you, madam, Sharia law or the U.S. Constitution? It's a pretty simple question, right? And it's certainly legitimate to ask it.
Well, I think it's extraordinarily legitimate, but it is, and it's as easy as, are you a capitalist, to answer, but they don't ever want to answer any of those questions. That
question hasn't ever been asked of Congressman Omar. That's how bad and impotent our American press is.
Yes.
What Judge Pirro should have done was simply just ask that question. That's all. All right? Madam, I'd like to know, you can email me, text me, come on the program, Sharia law or the Constitution? Which has your allegiance? You can't say both. Right? Isn't that legitimate?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Let me go to Ocasio-Cortez. She, in remarkable video from a hearing, she accuses Wells Fargo's CEO of financing the caging of children. Then she says that maybe the banks should be held responsible for global warming because they finance people that do things like oil companies that harm the environment. Bill,
I'm responsible for global warming, Beck.
You are?
I am.
Okay.
I did it. And I'm sorry. I wish I could take it back.
All right. Well, I'll take your apology. Can you stop doing it?
On BillO'Reilly.com, we have a montage of Congresswoman Cortez saying, like, and you know,
yeah, I know,
100 million times.
Yeah,
so good.
Right?
I know. Yeah.
When you hear someone say the word like, every other sentence or every other word, and then that person is not thinking. If you are thinking about what you are saying, you don't say like you know. So I have now convinced that she comes in with a script written for her by others and throws bombs simply to get attention. That's what I'm convinced is happening with the congressman.
I will tell you that there is a blogger out who made this a very compelling case. Mr. Reagan. I don't even know the guy's name. I just know the logo on the screen from this, Mr. Reagan. And I have not checked into it, but the evidence that he presented was pretty compelling about that she was selected. There was a casting call by a liberal organization. They have the people who did it on video saying, we did a casting call. We wanted to see who could run, blah, blah, blah. We got 1,000 applications. And out of that, we found Ocasio-Cortez. We met with her. It shows the video of them meeting, the conversation that they had. Then it shows all of the conversations of the leadership that is now around her, what they were saying a few years ago, and then word for word her saying it. And once you ask her beyond the talking point, like, she has no idea.
I would be careful with that story.
Yes, go ahead.
But it's also, it could be planted so that you would report it, and then they would debunk you as, being a propagandist.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. That's why I said I have not checked on this.
Right. You can't.
And I've only
this woman went to Boston University, my alma mater. She was a terrier. All right. While she was at the university, she really didn't distinguish herself in a political sense. She wasn't in the student council, wasn't on the newspaper, wasn't protesting, wasn't doing anything. And the only thing that we know is that she was dancing. She's in a video at BU dancing.
We also know she made a video praising Adam Smith, which is the exact opposite of socialism.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that. But she knew that her district in the Bronx was ripe for her coming in and winning. She could not have known that on her own. She had to be recruited to do that.
She was.
Because she had no polling information that Crowley was a weak candidate, that this and that. So she is being run, no doubt. And the guy in Fort Worth is providing millions of dollars for her to do a variety of different things. But that's as far as we know in a fact realm.
Bill, it's an amazing time that we're living in the country where you can just produce candidates and everybody buys into it. It's all the world is but a stage. We're living in that time. Bill, thank you.
Look, there's a lot of chicanery going on. Word of the day, chicanery. A lot. Because people aren't paying attention back. Why? Because they have their smartphones. Okay? And I want you and Tony Robbins this weekend to discuss that. That is the main topic of conversation. And he called me, by the way, in the break, and he's a little nervous about you coming over.
Well, you tell Banana Hands that I'm on my way. All right, Bill. Thanks so much.
He's got a big buffet for you, so that's a good thing.
All right. Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. That's BillO'Reilly.com. Join him in his fight and his stance and his stand every day with the no spin factor.